This is a video to explain how to repair the issue if you have a ball joint which is pulling out of the socket too easily. If the ball joint can pull out and in very easily like this, when this is screwed all the way down, then it's an indication that the protrusions are worn too much. So if you have a look at this one, you can see here these protrusions are very worn. And if we compare that to a new one, you can see the difference. This is a new protrusion. It should be solid like that. Now, once they wear down to very thin to this point, it allows the ball to come out of the socket. We actually sell it as a kit, so you would replace the bottom and the upper together. But just for comparison, if we fit now the new upper socket and push that down, there's absolutely no way you can pull that ball out of there. Okay, so the reason the ball is coming out is actually because of this upper socket, the protrusions being worn too much. The ball joint can become excessively worn. So if you look at the difference between these two here, you can see this is a new one and it's worn a lot on the bottom there. This can be because of very harsh chemicals being used, or maybe a lot of dirt and grit has got mixed into the grease. If we put the worn ball in and we put on the new upper socket, then you will notice that even though it's worn, I actually can't pull the ball out. So a worn ball is not the reason of it coming out of the socket. But when this is pushed and screwed all the way down, you can see how baggy it is. So if you fit a new socket, if there is this much movement on the ball, then we would recommend changing the ball at the same time. So what we have done recently, which is coming into production at the end of September 2025, you can see the finish is very different. So this has got a special hard anodized coating on it, which is about 10 times more hard wearing than the original finish. It's a very expensive finish, but it's super hard wearing. The advantage with this new finish is that you can actually run the joint dry, so there's actually no need to apply any grease. It's a dry joint. This socket, the upper and the lower is made from a special acetal bearing material, so it's designed as a bearing surface. It's designed to be grease free. So if that goes in there like so, the new ball, the new hard anodized ball, the new upper socket in there, this can now be used dry like so. That will prevent any dirt or grit mixing into the grease and causing a abrasive environment, and this new hard anodized ball with the dry joint should last much longer, even in very high usage environments. So now we're going to replace the ball joint. Okay, this is the new hard anodized one. It should look like this. First, remove the 4 screws on the socket. So take the battery out of the machine, flip it upside down, and we've got 4 screws to take out of the ball socket. Take your screws out. Okay, so we'll just tip up the machine just to catch those screws. We also need to take off the solenoid pod. There's 4 screws on the back here. Empty out those screws so we don't lose them. And then we're going to pull off this cable here in the solenoid pod, push in this outer ring here, push that in, and then pull the pipe out. So we're pushing in that piece there. That allowed me to pull the pipe out. Put the solenoid pod to one side, and then we're going to take off the front housing. You've got 2 screws. And we can just take off the squeegee as well. So just twist these, and then the squeegee comes off, pop that to the side, and then we can just unhook the hose. That just threads through that gap like that, put that to one side. The hose can just thread through the ball joint. Okay, and then we'll take this off and put this to one side. Okay, so we're going to remove these 4 screws from the ball joint. Make sure you use the right size screw bit, otherwise you'll round them off. Put that to one side. Okay, so we can then disconnect this cable, and we just need to cut this zip tie there. We can just remove the aluminium tube and pull the pipe and cable out. So we're just going to remove the ball socket, and then remove the ball joint. So we've got the new ball joint here, and first thing we do is fit this to the handle. So you'll notice that you've got 2 holes here which need to locate on these 2 pins. It's very important that you make sure they locate in there properly, because they need to be absolutely solid. That determines the spacing of the tanks and everything. So just empty the screws out, because we need to put Loctite on these. Obviously, you know, DRYFT experiences vibration, so we need to apply Loctite to these screws. Once you've applied Loctite to the screws, and there is a specific Loctite which we recommend, we'll put the note in the video, and then we can start to screw this back in. So just screw them down a little bit, don't screw them all the way, because we want to make sure they're tightened up evenly. So we're going to put them on diagonally and then tighten them up bit by bit. Whilst you're doing this, just make sure that you're keeping the pins from the ball into the handle. Okay, so speed it up. Okay, so we just want to make sure that that's on nice and tight. It's okay to actually have a bit of a gap, because the gap is designed in to make sure that this is absolutely clamped on solid, but give it a quick twist. That's the ball joint in place properly. The next thing to do is we're going to put the ball back onto the head. So we're going to thread the cable and the water pipe through the centre of the ball joint, and we can connect this cable back up. You can't get them wrong, they've got different connectors on. So that's going to go back up inside there. Okay, and then we can put the socket back in. We can put the ball in, put the top socket back on. You can see there's like an angle here that lines up with that angle there. So it goes on this way around. Make sure that's pushed on like so. So we can now put the screws back into there. That keeps the ball joint on in place. Make sure you're using the right size Torx screwdriver. Now we do recommend doing this by hand, these socket screws, because you don't want to over tighten them. You might rip the thread out of the plastic, or the ball joint needs to be nice and loose. I'll show you in a second how to optimize how much this is tightened up, but especially these screws, we recommend just tightening these by hand so that they can just be nipped up to the right amount. You don't over tighten them. All right, so what we recommend to do now is we're just going to put the other casings on before we determine fitting the cables and the pipe. So we're going to take this one first, which has got the hose in. We can thread that through there, and we can screw this back on. So as with before, you know, we recommend just screwing these by hand, because we're screwing into the plastic casing, which is absolutely fine. You can do it multiple times, but you just need to be careful that you don't over tighten them and rip the thread out. So literally just screw it until you feel it stop. Also, if you just turn it to the left until the thread drops into the original thread to make sure you don't cross thread it, and then just nip it up nice and tight. That's perfect. What we can do now is we just need to make sure the cable has got enough slack on it, because obviously there's a lot of joint on this movement here. So if you push the cable down and then lock it into place, we're wanting to make sure that there's, and also with the head in this position here, you know, so because we're trying to make sure that there's plenty of slack on that cable. So push the cable down like you can see there, and then the pipe goes on top like so. Actually, I'm just going to push that hose back through there. Okay, so now we can put the zip tie back on here. So you can see the hole for the zip tie there. Thread that through the hole. Into the head of the zip tie, and then try to get the head of the zip tie into this gap here. Don't have it like exposed, you know. It wants to be nice and tight and in that gap there, and then cut it flush. Okay. And then thread the cable so that the cable fits into that slot like so. So we're ready to put the solenoid housing on now. Put the pipe on first, just push that in. Make sure you push it as hard as you can so it hits the stop. Can't go in anymore. You've got your connector here. This connector goes onto there. Make sure the pipe's pushed in, and then So when you put this on, just pay attention to the pipe and the cable, because make sure they're pushed right into their slots. It should look like this, so you're not trapping anything. And then the casing should be closed all the way around. And we can put the screws back in. Okay, and then we mentioned the socket earlier, so just to check that that's been put on properly, like this surface should be flush with this, so I need to tighten that up a little bit, so just check it on both sides. This side's a better example, so we're just going to tighten that side up a little bit more. So that's now flush there. And to check it's fitted properly, you can lift the machine up, lift the head, it should drop down, it should drop in every direction, like so. So we can now put the squeegee back on, and the hose, so it's curved in line with the curve of the squeegee. Just thread the hose through. And then put the squeegee on. So just it should look like this. This flange should be on the outside of that. Check that on both sides. This goes on. Let's make sure they're lined up. And there we go. That's the ball joint changed over.